With so much pace, so much speed, they are really tight with their actions, and they know where they're going with their counters, and it's a tough cover.
Sonia, you've talked a lot about integration and players coming in and out of the lineup. What, with the compressed schedule, is how do you go about that? About a player like Emma, or playing without JJ for a month, or without Stewie for a couple of weeks? How do you go about those adjustments with limited practice time?
You know, I think as much as you can, you're trying to keep them ready behind the scenes if they're with us and they're injured. Obviously, Emma wasn't with us before, so Drew's done a really good job of sitting down with her and watching as much film as possible with her. She's a sponge, and she's such a high IQ basketball player, so it really just takes exposing her to everything we're doing for her to just process it and kind of retain it, which is a luxury that we have in training a player like her. And then, you know, it's these opportunities, these settings, practices, shoot-arounds, where we have our whole team together to be able to script, to be able to, you know, even if it's just walking through some actions defensively, to get on the same page and really get that tight.
What did you notice in terms of maybe what was lacking offensively on some of the freelance possessions, I guess if you want to call them, where, you know, the shot clock would wind down and maybe you weren't getting good shots? You know, just in those situations where a set play is not called, what would you have liked to see more of?
Yeah, I think, you know, we weren't as intentional as we could have been, I think, with who was in some of the actions. But of course, when you're in flow, sometimes, you know, you're just sort of running your lanes and kind of operating with a two-player action, try to create an advantage and maintain an advantage. We can be a little bit better with our screening angles, how we come out of it, roll a little bit more, and then obviously they collapse a lot in the paint, so then being able to read from there.
Coach,
Sonia,
go ahead.
When JJ was out, we talked a lot about a lot of the little things that she would do to impact the offense. It wasn't just the rebounding, it wasn't just the scoring. When it comes to Stewie, what are some of those little things that she does that completely changes the ways that this offense performs?
Stewie's a Swiss Army knife on both ends. So I think you're going to see it on the offensive end. I mean, you saw her running the point a good amount before she was injured, and so you'll see her as a handler. You'll see her being able to be in some of these screening actions, handling with an inverted screen with the guard coming up. A lot of the off-ball things we do as well, like her ability to read. If she's got the ball in her hands and we're running some sort of off-ball action, you know, understanding where the ball goes next. And I think she just keeps the ball moving really well. Just a 0.5 way of playing that just really starts to move us offensively and just kind of keep the ball popping. Defensively, you know, she's everywhere. Her length, her activity, her IQ on the defensive end, understanding these teams really well. I mean, she knows Minnesota inside and out, for example, right? So she knows where that action might be going next. She can anticipate really well and knows where to be next. And I think she can cover up. You know, of course, mistakes are going to happen. You know, these breakdowns that are happening. I think she does a really good job of covering for those situations.
Coach, considering all the newcomers and friendly faces returning from injury, how is this team well positioned to take advantage of the larger schedule?
I'm not sure if I follow that question.
No, basically, there's a longer schedule. 44 games.
Yeah.
We've talked endlessly, it feels, about, you know, the lack of off days, the back-to-backs, but with newcomers like Emma and Steph, and
just having more games to be able to
and to integrate.
Sure, you know, I mean, we're glad. Like we're glad we have a bunch more games to go before we hit playoffs. I think there's a lot of work for us to accomplish in this short amount of time, and so we're certainly welcoming that aspect of it. That's the silver lining of this condensed schedule for sure. Yeah, no, that's fine. Yeah, I just wasn't sure where you're going with that.
Does the team openly speak about securing that second seed, or is it just mostly about health and picking at the right time at this point in the season?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's process. It's always been process, right? It's we just want to be playing the best basketball we can be playing when we get to the playoffs, and that's not a switch that we're going to flip on that day. Like, it's going to happen today, it's going to happen tomorrow. It's going to be these incremental gains that we're trying to make, and that's really our primary focus right now. It's on us and how we can be the best versions of ourselves we can be.
Sonia, even, you know, obviously you talked about Stewie. Without Stewie, where have you noticed some growth offensively from, I guess, some of the players that have had to step up?
I mean, I think you've seen like Marine's playmaking quite a bit with increased opportunity with the ball in her hands. As you know, as I mentioned, Stewie playing a little bit more of a handler before she was out. and she's being able to do that. Obviously, we've really leaned on Sabrina and Tosh, and I think they've done a really good job of guiding us in that lead guard role, both of them. But it takes a collective effort when you lose a player like Stewie, right? So it's a little bit of everybody doing a lot of different things. Having KB back is huge for us. She fills a little bit of that void as well.
How impressed were you with just her ability to just make an impact immediately? She hadn't been, on the court in a long time.
Right. Really impressed, not surprised at all. She worked her butt off in those 2.5 weeks that she was out. Our performance staff worked really hard with her. All of us on the court with her, getting her return to play progression, so that she was ready on that first game. And I think we had a good plan of how we were going to manage her minutes and all of that. But KB's a pro, and she's going to be ready, and she understands. She's been watching and just itching to be back out there, so she knows what we needed. And I think she was really intentional about bringing that to the table.
Speaking of Marine, I know this is your first year with her, but how do you think she has benefited from a full season in New York as opposed to going back and forth from Europe to here?
Yeah, I'll speak hypothetically on it since I wasn't here before, but I think anytime you can have that full ramp up, have a training camp where you're part of all the installation on the offensive end, on the defensive end. I just think it's a lot smoother than coming in a little bit late, having to play catch up. So I think she's seemed really, really comfortable all season long, and that the ball in her hands, like she's just kind of growing out there as a playmaker.
From the essentially beginning of the season, you've been bottom 3 around there. Mm-hmm. Is there a target goal to have it not be that way, to allow fewer threes, or is it okay if X, Y, Z other things?
Yeah, I think our target is to be better. Yeah, there's not a number or a ranking, but I think just we're looking at things globally, and obviously Olaf is looking more detailed at the defensive side of the game. But I think if we clean up some aspects of our pick and roll defense and our coverage is there, I think there's a downstream effect, right? And that's where some of the open threes are coming from. So, cleaning up the open threes, the lightly contested, uncontested, and certainly being able to lower that number a little bit is a huge factor.
What do you think the team needs to do tomorrow to finally get over the hump and beat the Lynx? It's been a difficult thing for the group to be able to do.
Yeah, we've been right there, and I think that we played really well in that last game. Just a few mistakes here and there. Like I said, that's a really good team. So I think we have to clean up some of those, right? Some of those breakdowns, less of those. Go out there, execute some of the adjustments, if you will, that we're trying to put in today and tomorrow morning. But I think it's just, play hard, play together, keep the ball moving, continue to try to play fast when it's there, and be intentional, and slow things down a little bit offensively when it's not.
Offensive rebounding has been a struggle for this team throughout the season, but obviously part of that is the system that you guys run on offense and how spaced all your bigs are. Is that an area of focus when you talk about players talking about having the physicality in the games? Is that something that you think could be beneficial?
Yeah, I think that we play like a 5-out, but that's really just the start of the offense, right? We're not really staying in a 5-out for an entire possession. That's just, you're flowing into a 5-out, and that's when you're not in a called play, right? None of our called plays really start that way. And then from there, there's a screen, there's a roll, there's a dive, there's a slash. So there's always somebody in the paint. I think the key is if we can just get one more person at least, right? Start to add 2-3 people in there. We might be able to get more in there. The biggest thing is making sure that we can be aggressive with our offensive rebounding while maintaining our integrity with our transition defense, and slowing down that transition offense on the other team.
And Leo, some of the trouble that she's seen with some of the defensive rebounding is the amount of switching and then just people finding bodies and boxing out. Is that more of an effort thing than a principle thing that it is?
I think we have to team rebound. Sometimes you're right, we're going to be in situations where we've switched, and I think Leo can hold her own in there, but I think, team rebounding, just like I had mentioned on the offensive side, you're just one person to the glass. It's kind of hard to come up with an O board, but you start to send 2-3. I think on the defensive end, it's 5 to the glass, and being strategic about where we're going. But it's all hands on deck when you have those players that are hungry for those O boards and they're crashing hard. It's all hands on deck.
Thanks.
Yeah.
Thanks, everyone.
you.
Appreciate it.
Thank you.